Coach Seth Tierney, back now a week and a half from that 9-day trip to Japan for the International Friendship Games. This was your third trip over. What made this trip different for you?
I mean, being a head coach and having the opportunity to bring the Hofstra team over, first international tour in its history. So there was certainly some excitement there, and we're certainly thankful that we were able to do it. You know, the trip was a huge success, and we're going to look forward to hopefully doing it again in the future.
It was a long trip over and a long trip back. What did you do to kill the time on the plane, 13 hours?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I've been very fortunate in my life, and this is my third trip over to Tokyo, so I knew what to expect. Some of the guys were, the excitement going over kind of killed some of the time. There's a ton of things to do. You want to go over in 1989 when we don't have the ability to get all the movies and the games and all those other things. It's a little different, but I tell you what, everything's at your fingertips, and the guys did a great job on the plane, and you know, the time went by pretty quick.
Now, coming back, there was a little turbulence. Did you sleep through that one, or?
I did not sleep through it. Coach Unterstein, if you ask him, I don't think he recognized the turbulence as he was out. But I walked around the plane a few times just to make sure everybody was okay. There was a little bit of a drop, but everybody was kind of sleeping. There was a few people that were a little nervous of the drop, but we got through it pretty quickly.
Now, what was the feeling? I realized it was late at night when you arrived in Tokyo, and you had a welcoming committee with your good friend Yusuke. What was the atmosphere of the team?
There was a buzz. I mean, you wouldn't know that they just got off a full day and a half of traveling, and they were excited. I mean, they couldn't see much. Obviously, it was nighttime over there. It was later on at night. You know, there was obviously some lights on from the city, but we kind of got over to the hotel pretty quick. Guys were tired, but there was an air of excitement. We were on 2 buses, but you know, I can speak for my bus that the guys were, you know, obviously staring out the window and snapping cameras left and right. So there was it was a pretty cool atmosphere.
A very organized trip with a lot of things to do, and just a couple of days of sightseeing. On the field, the Pride went 5-0. Big win over the Japan national team. Tell us about the competition. First with the under-20 team that you played. Yeah,
the first one, you know, was a little bit of an all-star team that came in, and you know, those guys, they played hard. You know, we got a little bit of the plane ride out of us. The score was a little bit lopsided, but you know, it was great to just see their effort, and we were able to get a bunch of guys in the game and kind of just shake the plane ride out. And then we led into the national game the following day. You know, a little over 6,000 people in Edengawa Stadium. Their national team showed very well in the last World Games, only losing by 5 or 6 goals to Canada, maybe 6 or 7 to the United States. I don't know if I have those stats totally correct. You know, we went up early. They made some adjustments, and we needed to make some adjustments to hold on to a win. And it was a great atmosphere for our guys to play in, and just to see how important lacrosse is over there in Tokyo and to the JLA.
Now, more importantly, the game was maybe a barometer. Did you look at that as a barometer for next year to see how guys were playing?
Yeah, you certainly, you know, we had some guys out there that would, you know, we told them that they were going to prove themselves a little bit, but it was a vacation type trip, and I wanted the guys to have fun, and so there wasn't, you know, a ton of yelling and screaming. There was intensity, and you know, we ended up finishing that game and winning by 1, and it was an exciting game for the fans that were there.
And Mike DiNapoli was named the game most valuable player.
Mike DiNapoli got the MVP of the game. He had to do a speech in front of the crowd. He was a little nervous there, you know, when you have a translator. It was a great experience for him, a bunch of pictures being taken, but just to see our guys after the game, just the conversations, the handshakes, the hugs, all that stuff, it was an unbelievable success.
And speaking of speeches, you had one before the game.
I did. You know, I spoke a few times throughout the trip. One to the mayor of Edengawa and a bunch of the JLA people, and that went well. And then, you know, before the game started, in front of that big crowd, we got a chance to thank everybody for the opportunity to allow the Hofstra team to come over. And you know, I thought it was well received. It was. Again, I can't reiterate it enough. It was a great experience. It was a great trip for Hofstra University.
Now, jumping back between the under-20 game and the Japan national game,
yep.
You had a big clinic with about 200 college freshmen, high school seniors.
Yep.
How did that go?
It was great. Coach Brazel, Coach Unterstein, they organized it up, and we put a couple guys at different stations, and we basically just ran, 10 different stations, not knowing what the level of everybody. So we wanted to teach everybody everything. So we organized it before we went over to make sure that we touched on all the important facets of the game. And then we spent about 8 to 10 minutes in each session and blew a whistle, and we all rotated. There were some translators at each station so that they can, just have those guys understand exactly what we were talking about. And again, the feedback was phenomenal.
Yeah, speaking of translators, many Japanese people are bilingual.
Yes.
Was there a language barrier?
There was, when we had 2 days of homestay, our guys got divided up into 1- and 2-person groups, and they stayed in homes of the college players' families. And for some of them, the parents, there was a language barrier, some of the kids. But I tell you what, the guys did a great job with that. It was an unbelievable experience, and they got over the language barrier quick. The big saying over there is lacrosse makes friends, and it certainly did on this trip as well.
Now, what were some of the comments you heard from the homestays?
Everything was different. Obviously the cooking was incredible. Different food for different meals. Some of the futons that the guys slept on. Just a way of life over there was tremendous. Some guys had to get on 2 or 3 different trains. Some people would jump in cars. But I take my hat off to Yusuke and his group for the unbelievable organization that took place to get guys to certain areas, and to publicly thank him and all of the homestay parents for doing what they did. They've made an impact on our guys forever.
Now, you also had 3 games against college teams, Tokyo, Keio, and Waseda.
Yep.
How would you compare those schools compared to American colleges?
Yeah, I mean, they're a little bit behind, but they're certainly catching up quickly. I had a chance to go over in '89 and again in 2002, and to see the difference now in 2012 has been unbelievable. Keio University, Waseda, Tokyo, they are very, very good teams now. They're creating depth. They're taking strength and conditioning, to the next level. Their energy level is off the charts. Their skill positions with the goal and the face-off have come such a long way. Their size is much better, and they've done a great job. We had 3 abbreviated games, and again, we were fortunate to be 3-0 on that day. It was a long day for us as, their team left and a new team came on, but our guys handled it tremendously.
And it looks like both Hofstra and the visitors had, the home teams had a great time.
They did.
Post-game as well.
Yeah, they did. Those guys did a great job of just having us experience the Japanese culture, having some gifts to trade. And I know that a lot of our guys are Facebooking a lot of their guys, and they've made friends for life. This started with Yusuke Sasaki and myself back in 1989, and look where it's taken us now in 2012.
Yeah, I think after the 9-day trip that went very, very fast, do you think the guys were ready to come home?
By the sight of the plane on the way home and everybody was sleeping, I think the trip was a perfect amount of time. I do. Could we have used maybe another day of sightseeing? Possibly, but I will tell you that we got a perfect balance, and again, my hat goes off to the JLA of organizing this trip, spending some time at a private sumo wrestling match, sumo wrestling practice, and to go to Tokyo Disney, and to go to Kamakura, where they could walk around like an outdoor flea market and do some some souvenir buying, and to get another taste of Japanese culture with the shrines and the Buddhas, and to take some team pictures there. I thought we satisfied that part of the Japanese history. There was plenty of free time. Staying in Roppongi is a little bit of a version of Manhattan, so they got a chance to walk around the city, and then certainly we played enough lacrosse, and with the clinic, I thought we did our job in regards to spreading the game.
What was your personal favorite part of the trip?
I guess maybe the smiles on our guys' faces. I just really enjoyed, and the credit needs to go to Dr. Freed and Mrs. Freed for allowing us financially to make this trip, but for me to jump on board and to see the guys smile and to know the memory that they have just created will be there forever, and that will come back to Hofstra and their experience at Hofstra. I gotta think that trumps everything. But there were so many that I don't know if there was just one outside of the smiles, and I guess the relationships that these guys made.
Now, how important for the Hofstra lacrosse program was this trip for future recruits?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think there's a lot of other programs out there that are taking these international trips. They use it for recruiting purposes, and we're certainly going to use this one, for recruiting purposes in the next coming classes. We've got a bunch of pictures. We've got a bunch of posters and game programs that are displayed in our office. And we're going to talk about starting to fundraise maybe 4 years from now. You're only allowed to take one international trip every 4 years, and maybe we go back to Japan. Maybe that's our spot. Maybe we bounce around and look for another spot. I don't know, but I just think that it plays a role in the overall experience. And now that we've closed the gap with that area, we're looking forward to closing the gap in recruiting and taking our team to the next level, and that would be to a Final Four.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.